we have started recording.
Go on, Adam.
What do you want me to do?
Are you gonna make me do it again?
I'm just saying that we're not. I'm not introducing the show anymore. I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying I'm not introducing the show anymore. I want to move away. I want to pivot away from the boring old structure.
Welcome to sometimes. Welcome to Sometimes Video Games, where today I am joined by my favourite two people who talk a lot about video games, Charlie Walsh and Adam Hurd.
Wow, that.
How are you both doing today, fellas?
I'm alright. How are you?
What happened halfway through that, Louis? At some point, it sounded like you got attacked by some sort of
I
bird.
don't know what exactly happened.
What happened?
I just claimed a random engram from who's here. You know, he's here on a Friday through till a Monday, and I just got the thing. I just got the exact thing I wanted.
So you did a loot box, and you got a loot box that you wanted.
Yeah, but imagine if the loot boxes
were free.
Yeah, if the loot boxes you didn't pay for.
Sure. I'm not doing too. How are you guys doing today? Are you having a fun? You having a fun week?
I'm having a. No, okay. I can't lie. I'm having a pretty fucking nightmare of a week.
Why is it just your monitor? You're talking about your monitor before blowing up.
No, it's the fact that I think my main issue is the fact that I can't fucking sleep properly. So I come home from work and I'm that exhausted that I end up just go to sleep straight away.
Yeah.
And then I wake up at about like 9 or 10 o'clock, and then
and you've already fucking slept half the night. Oh God, what's happening? It's Charlie.
What's up?
Let me go check the door.
Oh, I wonder what would happen then. I heard someone. Cool. We're ordering pizza, I guess. How are you, Charlie, anyway?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Have you been doing anything fun this week? You've been editing videos.
Yeah.
Any good videos that we wanna look out for?
Nah, there'll be one up on Triple Jump at some point, but apart from that, the rest of it's being trash. So
how many videos have you had up on Triple Jump now? Is it still just the one?
3, 4, something like that.
Oh.
Don't know.
What's your favourite one that you did?
I've done 6 or 7. I can't remember. But I don't know how many are actually up. I think 3 or 4. 3 maybe. Maybe 4. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. Overlooked Disney's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's the first one, but it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that one's up. I think Hidden Gems for the Atari, Jaguar's up. That one, and then what was the other one that went up? Times, was it the one that took all your items away? Strangest wrestling video games? I don't remember which one it was. There's at least 3 up. I don't remember.
There's a few up at the moment.
I don't remember. When you make them, you just sort of make them, and then you because I work a lot. It's sort of they're done, and then I don't think about them again. So you just move on. You know, you don't really think about it after that.
Okay. False alarm, no pizza.
Nope.
What pizza have you ordered, though? I want to know what pizza you ordered.
I've gone pretty basic bitch today. I've got myself a peppered Ronnie.
One of those in the fridge.
You've got a peppered Ronnie in the fridge.
I do.
I like the name Peppered Ronnie. I do. It's a pretty fun name. I'm gonna call them Peppered Ronnies from now on. And whenever I order a Peppered Ronnie, they'll look at me like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I'll just say, "Think about it.
Think about it. Take some of that and post it." Also, I've checked it. It's 3. 3 have gone up.
3. Cool. There we go.
Yeah. What do you think about what you've done, Adam?
Yeah, think about it, Adam.
Yeah, me. What? I'm the one that's not done the peppered Ronnie.
Just
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
God,
Why
you
not?
made me sick, Adam.
Jesus Christ, that went that went far, didn't it?
Graceful.
It is. I've not been doing anything fun this week. I've been busy. I haven't been busy. I've just been running to town every fucking day, doing nothing for the benefits office.
Oh, you're working for that mob again?
Well, I'm not working for him. No. Well, I might. Well, no, I'm not. I'm receiving benefits, but in order to receive benefits, they're like, "Hey, we know how you're not doing anything during the day," which I kind of am. You know, I'm doing things. I know it's not things that I'm getting paid for, but I'm doing things. And they're like, "Well, you need to just come in today to talk to us for 5 minutes and waste your entire day traveling to and from town and do stupid shit for us for no reason." I'm like, "Cool."
It's a massive. It's a
is that
massive
literally what
waste of time.
Is that literally what they said?
No,
Because you're not doing anything today.
no, that's what they assume. They assume that you're not doing anything because you're unemployed. So they assume what you do is you sit around the house and watch. I guess I was gonna say Jeremy Kyle, but Jeremy Kyle's not on anymore, is he? So
Thank fucking Christ.
Well, he is just not the
just
Jeremy
not the
Kyle
Jeremy
show.
Kyle show. Yeah, they assume you just sit around all day watching This Morning and then Loose Women and then Doctors and then Father Brown, as we stated prior. You know,
As we spoke about in detail last episode, that we sit around and watch. Yeah.
But they assume you're not doing anything.
We started to think we were incriminating ourselves here, Adam.
A little bit. They assume you're not doing anything, so they're like, "Oh, well, then that means you can do everything we ask," and it basically is just a big waste of time. Like, there's so many things that I wanna do, especially like creating my own stuff and making videos and shit. And they're just like, "Hey, just come into town at like 12 in the middle of lunch, right?" Which means I have to get like the bus the hour before that, which basically means most of my morning's gone. And then I get in, I go into town. I'm a bit early because I want to be a bit early. Go see the person, and I've been seeing a different person every time. I don't know what's up with my work coach. They're probably having a bad one or whatever. And I just see some random person who's never seen me before, and they go, "You've been looking for work?" And I go, "Yep." And they go, "All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye."
It's a massive waste of time.
I'm like, "Well," I'm just like, "Oh."
I don't know.
Every time.
They're just let's be real. They're just paid to make you feel like shit. That's like their whole thing. That's how.
They aren't though. Like, and I know because obviously they aren't. They're paid to do something. I just don't know what these ones do in particular. And it's funny because whenever I do go down there, and I see someone new, and then they look at my CV and they go, "Oh, I used to work for the Department for Work and Pensions." The mood in the room immediately shifts. Like, instead of it being a us and them thing, right? It becomes a, "How are you doing, mate? Are you having a nice time? How have you been doing? Do you not want to work for us again or whatever?" Right? It becomes like it becomes much more friendly, much more amicable.
Well,
the second they think I used to work for them.
I've got some bad news for you, Adam. I personally know 3 people that have worked for the Department of Work and Pensions.
Oh wow!
That after working for the Department for Work and Pensions went on benefits again.
I mean, it's fair. Did they all leave for the same reason I left, in that it was horrible and they didn't want to do it?
2 of them left because they couldn't afford to keep, because the Department of Work and Pensions couldn't afford to keep them.
What do you mean they were laid off for?
Yeah, and I think the other one just hated it so much that he thought that it was like, man, death is more preferable to this job, so he quit.
Fair. I was similar to that last one in that I had like a 6 months off the job due to depression, and then came back to a written warning saying, "Do that again and you're sacked," which is very fun. Exactly what you want to come back home to.
I've had nothing like that. Like, I give my workplace a lot of shit, but like they never like pulled any shit like that with me. They were very no. I had it good when it came to the whole mental health. I don't know. Maybe if it's different when you like actually try to kill yourself. But
I mean, maybe. It's not that. So it's not that with DWP. It's they don't. Regardless of what the topic is, regardless of why you're taking time off, they treat it as absence, and they treat it as like unexplained absence and stuff like that, right? Because you're essentially just having time off. So they don't really care what time you turn up. Like basically, what my job was, they didn't really care what time you turned up, didn't really care what time you left, as long as you're doing the set hours that you have set out in your contract. But they did really care if you couldn't get to work, and they were like very adamant, like, no, you have to come in. Like you can come in and do an hour, but you have to come in. Like that, like they're very, very strict on that. To the point where I remember once when it was snowing, and there was someone on one of the teams nearby who was just snowed in, and where they were living, they couldn't get out. Like my car's snowed in, all the public transport is cancelled because it's a snow day, and that's just what happens. I cannot get into work, and they went, I don't believe you. Send a picture to prove that your car is snowed in. So she did. She sent a picture to prove that the car was snowed in, and they were still a bit like, is there any way you can get in? Can you get a taxi? Can you do? It's like, no, I can't. I'm stuck here. I can't do anything about this, like at all.
You know, like, do people understand that taxis just don't operate in weather like that? They just don't. Like, I've tried this before. I'm like, they're just like, yeah, we're not operating today because we can't have people driving on the fucking icy roads.
Exactly. I think it is just a matter of, and it's not all the management's fault either. It's just a matter of like the way that the rules are set out. Some of them are management, but
I like the worst part is, and this is and I think is obviously a minus point for communism, which is that I think it's because it's a job for the government, not a job for a private company. I feel like, weirdly enough, a lot of private companies, well, especially the one I work for, even though they're less accountable for things like that happening, they seem to weirdly care a lot more.
I think.
I mean, it depends on the company. I guess. I guess it's like, you know, it's a case.
Yeah, it probably is a
case by case subject. But like, have you heard of the Bradford factor system?
No.
I don't know if you have that in place at your work. So you basically accrue points for time that you've had off. And the way those points are calculated are it's number of days times by number of instances times by number of instances.
Okay, yeah, that sounds similar to what we did.
So they obviously care about you having multiple instances off as opposed to having multiple days off, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. I think what we had was I think you're allowed 8 days or 4 instances over 8 days.
So,
and it was it's a weird like off due to illness sort of thing, right?
Well, for us, it's like there's like a point threshold to where the company will basically have a meeting with you and then be like, they'll either do nothing, give you a verbal warning, give you a written warning, give you a final warning, or sack you, I guess. Or in the case of me, when I had that meeting, they just removed all my breakfast factor points.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think so what, from my experiences, DWP does is you're allowed like 4 days off or 8 days off or something like that. Regardless of how long you take off. So if you just take a day off, you come back and you have to have like a back to work meeting, even if you've taken a day off ill. Like I took 1 day off ill because I was throwing up or whatever, right? So that day off, counts as an unexplained absence, you come back to work and they're like, oh, you've had a day of unexplained absence. We need to have a meeting about this right now. And we need to have a written, not a warning, but like you need to write down exactly why you've had the day off and shit like that.
We're supposed to do that. We never fucking do. If you give a reasonable, like you're supposed to have a back to work at our place like every time you've had an absence.
I guess these are just sticklers for the rules.
Well, if you like ring up and be like, this is why I'm off today, then for the most part you're probably not gonna have a back to work meeting because they're probably gonna not care about giving you one.
Sure. I mean, to be fair, and is the case with a lot of DWP things as we're talking about, it's kind of just a waste of time. Because if I have a day off, if I even have 3 days off, right, I just want to come back in, get back to work and do my shit. It's not a big deal, is it really? I've just had a couple of days off because I've been unwell or whatever, right? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. It's just kind of a bit of a waste
I live for that
time.
kind of shit. Just pointless meetings. Let's go. I'm here for it.
I mean, that's what it is.
I'm not for pointless meetings.
That's exactly what it is. It's pointless meetings, and they'd have like every Wednesday morning off just for meetings. Like the whole office would be off every Wednesday morning just for like a big team meeting, in which nobody really listened. Everyone just sort of stared into space.
But by the way, our back to work meetings consisted of you and and your supervisor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was similar. It was you, your manager, and then your manager would report to their manager, basically.
I don't know, like it feels weird. It feels weird and kind of refreshing. Even though I hate the job, it's refreshing the fact that I work for people who are very empathetic. Like the only reason I think I've stayed in this company for so long is it's because it's a job where I genuinely like my colleagues a lot. I just hate the work.
That's good. I mean, I think that's half of the job, isn't it, really? Like, half of the job is being able to be okay with your time there. Even if you hate the work, like, the people can help you get it through, right? I think that's a really good, I think it's just a good mark of a good working place, or people stay more in good working places, don't they? Like, I remember seeing this, it was this tweet, right? And it was, it was a stupid workplace thing. Like in a workplace, don't give you workers a raise. Give them pizza because pizza makes them want to stay more. And it's a bit stupid because everyone wants a raise, but it kind of makes sense.
No, it does make sense because not a lot of people are going to say no to pizza.
Yeah, but it's to rally the working spirit in it more than anything.
Well, it's just I don't know. It's just acts of inclusiveness. Just sit right with people. Like not everyone. I guess just cares about money.
No. I mean, I guess that's the point that the little thing was trying to get by. Obviously, everyone would appreciate being paid more, especially if you're in lower paid work. But like the idea of not necessarily pizza, because obviously pizza's whatever. It's more just making your workplace a more hospitable environment, right? And making everyone more comfortable in the place that they work, and making everyone happy, I guess, right? Happy is the right word.
I think I've had a pay. I mean, it's been a small pay rise, but I think I've had a pay rise for every year I've worked there.
You should have a pay rise in terms of inflation, I think. Because I think everyone gets one in April every year, right? Like because national minimum wage goes up every year in April.
Yeah, well, so the way they do the way they used to do so we used to all get paid minimum wage. That's when I started.
Yeah.
Then they made it so that if you worked there for 2+ years, full time, then you got paid 50p more than minimum wage. And now they increased that to £1 above minimum wage per hour.
Okay.
And then they've just recently increased that again to £1.50 above minimum wage.
Fair play.
For people who work for the company for more than 2 years.
You can't argue, can you? Really?
I once worked for someone who was trying to figure out how much to pay someone, a freelance person who was doing something for them, and got very angry when he realized that the minimum wage had gone up because he meant he had to pay them more. And he literally went, "What's the minimum wage?" I can't remember what it was. It had changed like a couple of months before. And I went, "Oh, it's this." And he went, "No, it's this." And I went, "It's gone up, bro." And he literally went, "For fuck's sake, man!" and stormed out of the room.
Christ.
So, you know,
I'd be so pissed at that guy. Like, I've had commission work done before without negotiating a price, and I'm like, oh shit, how much do I pay them? I want to pay them like a good amount of money. I don't want to like pay them a shit amount of money. Like I'm like, yo, what's a good amount of money for the kind of work that I've just received?
Yeah,
I've had that before.
yeah. I hate commissioning artists and like people who do stuff for that exact reason. In that, like, I don't know what's a good price for like this sort of stuff. Like, it goes to like the whole like Bayonetta voice acting thing as well, right? It's a similar thing. Is that like I'm like, but what is a reasonable wage for someone who makes art? What isn't a reasonable wage for someone who
Didn't it
voice
turn
acts
out
and
that
shit?
didn't it turn out that like she was lying anyway? I didn't really follow that whole.
The sort of
I
long and short.
I don't
of
think it was lying. It was just there was just a lot of confusion
Yeah.
in the whole situation. I don't
The
think it
long
was
and
like
short of it is the thing that she said to begin with was true, but it was also kind of an end of contract. Hey, out of the kindness of our hearts, we want to give you this like one-off voice thing for a $4,000, and the previous like few prices that she was offered were a lot more to voice Bayonetta for the whole game. And ones that she still disagreed with, you know, the amount of, but I guess the larger point I'm trying to like get to is like, what is a good price for voice acting?
Because I don't know, I didn't do a ton of research into it, but a lot of people kind of saying that it was kind of made to look a lot worse than it actually is. Now, don't get in mind, I do think voice actors generally aren't treated the greatest, but I don't know how to feel in this case because I don't know anything. Plus, there's conflicting opinions from multiple sides.
I can give you the information, right? So what happened originally is Helena Taylor, the voice actress for Bayonetta and Bayonetta 1 and 2, she stated that Platinum Games came to her with a figure to voice the whole game, and she rejected that, then wrote in Japanese to director Hideki Kamiya with the help of a friend, asking for the correct amount of money or a more reasonable sum, you know, out of respect for her craft and the amount of time she's trained as an actor and that sort of thing, right? And she says that Hideki Kamiya came back to her with the figure of $4,000 for the whole game. Then Hideki Kamiya tweeted that these were lies. Some investigation was done. I think most of it was reported via Bloomberg from Jason Schreier, who came to the conclusion through evidence and through other people at Platinum telling him things, essentially that originally Helena Taylor was offered a sum of about, I think, 10,000 US dollars for the role of Bayonetta for the whole game. Then she wrote to Hideki Kamiya in Japanese. He then offered her 15,000 for the whole game, in which she rejected. And then they didn't talk for a long period of time until I assume the game was almost finished, in which from what I can see about how the game works, the game is about multiverses and stuff like that. So Bayonetta travels different multiverses because, you know, it's got to be about multiverses. I'm assuming what would have happened is they go to a universe where the original Bayonetta voice actress is in there, and she has a cameo part that was then that offer that she mentioned for $4,000 to do like a few voice lines here and there. as far as I'm aware, that those are the facts of the case as it is. So a lots of misunderstandings more than anything. She did sort of I think she did lie. I don't know if lying is the right word, because she didn't specifically lie.
From the way you're describing it, is that it sounds like there was a lot of pettiness on her part.
I think that might be the case. I think
I don't think it's anything. I just think it's one of those things where like it's a complicated situation that there's lots of different facets to, and at the end you can't fit that in a single tweet. And what happens is the way, you know, fucking the internet works is it becomes a he said she said situation where one side has to be telling the truth and one side has to be lies, and it's not really like that. You know, whenever you have a disagreement with bosses or whatever, there's always like multiple facets to it, and you can't fit that in a tweet, and so it just becomes this argument about who was actually right in the end. And I don't think that's true of anything, you know.
Exactly. Like, I don't think Helena was lying. I think she was obviously telling her side of the story and how she interpreted things, right? And that sort of £4,000 that she was talking about originally is that final offer that they gave her, where they said, well, we want you to do a cameo or whatever, right? There's clearly other information that she didn't let on to. And there's clearly more, like, there's clearly other stuff behind the scenes that Platinum and that we don't know, right? There's clearly stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about. But I think,
there's obviously her terms of employment in question.
Well, I believe the first tweet she said basically was "fuck Nintendo" and "fuck the NDA." Like, literally, fuck the non-disclosure agreement. I don't care. I'm saying this because voice actors deserve proper pay. Which she's right. I agree. And if the 10 grand or the 15 grand isn't an appropriate amount of money for voicing a video game, then fair play. I don't know what is. I've seen a few other people weigh in on the situation. A voice actor called Sean Chiplock, who voiced in Zelda Breath of the Wild, and also did some background. I think he had a line or two lines in the Detective Pikachu movie. Then he was talking about it, and he was saying, yeah, like, I got paid more than that for my roles in Breath of the Wild, but I was playing 3 characters. That said, my one line in the Detective Pikachu movie has made me more than my entire career in video games. So there's clearly a conversation to be had about paying voice actors the right amount. It's just whether or not her.
Well, the thing is with voice actors, a lot of people don't know who they are because you know it's voice acting. You're not given a face.
I mean, that's true. I think I don't know how true that is nowadays, because I think that everybody in video games could name, let's say, 3.
But I think you could.
No, everyone in video games can, but people who just play video games. I'm not talking about gamers. People who just play video games.
I think it depends.
I would also say naming 3 is exceptions to the rule, right?
True. You
can name Troy Baker, you can name Nolan North, but who's playing opposite them you don't usually know, for example.
Sure. True. And I don't think many people knew Helena Taylor until this came out, right? Nobody really knew who Helena Taylor was, even though they knew Bayonetta. Like, people knew. I think people who don't even know what Bayonetta is know Bayonetta from Smash and stuff, right? They're like, I know Bayonetta, I know the voice. If they're into video games enough, I think. She's not like massive or anything, but
yeah, she's that woman with hair that's also clothes.
My hair is a demon.
Her hair is clothes, yeah. But yeah, no, I think, I don't know. I think it is getting to the point where we're recognizing more voice actors. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just because I'm
I think it's just you. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm not saying there isn't an improvement over time, because there is, but I think it's minuscule.
Sure. No, that's fair. It's clearly.
Let's be honest, because you've seen celebrities do voice acting parts of video games before, and let's be honest with you, for the few lines that they do, they're probably getting paid a lot more than 15K.
They are, and this is like it was also brought up.
That's where the problem is, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, it was also brought up with a few other things, like we had the Chris Pratt Mario thing, right? Instead of Charles Martinet, the actual voice actor for Mario. And there was also
which controversially I think is the correct decision, but still.
I mean, because you don't want to listen to 2
What?
hours of choice, yeah.
Like
For 2 hours.
before it was Nolan North, Peter
Mm.
Dinklage was the first person to voice the Ghost in Destiny.
Yes.
He was paid a fucking shit ton of
Oh,
money for that.
I'm sure. And he did a shit job as well by all intents and purposes.
It is some of the like. There is a supercut on YouTube of all of the lines he said.
Really?
The game. Oh, by the way, spoilers. It comes to a total of half an hour of voice lines.
Oh, wow.
For an entire game.
I never heard this, but yeah.
So yeah, it's awful. It's just so awful. Like he just speaks in such a monotone, like dreary voice, regardless of what's going on.
Sure. And there was also talk about Kiefer Sutherland taking over
Guardian,
Snake.
we've awoken the hive.
God, is that what he's like? Ah,
That's literally what
awoken
he
the hive.
says.
Oh,
That's
no.
literally what he says. Guardian, we've like it's like he's trying to sound like there's a degree of urgency, but he just can't. He just can't manage it.
I also think there's something to be said for voice direction in that. I think isn't the didn't it come out that the voice director wanted him to be robotic, and so he was like, aha, there is the hive is here, and then there was like, yeah, that's the robot, no emotion stuff. But and then they were like, actually, it's shit. I don't know. We was talking about Kiefer Sutherland replacing David Hayter as Snake.
If you want
as
my
well.
opinion, if you want my opinion, is that like Nolan North isn't much better.
Is he not? I thought people said that he was a lot better.
Oh, he's a lot better. No, he's a lot better in terms of, if you know, by comparison to Peter Dinklage, he's fucking.
Sure.
He's leagues better.
You mean in terms of being paid? Because he's a big name.
No, in terms of the quality of job he's done, is still not that good.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to say Peter Dinklage was that terrible.
Sure, fair enough. I mean, Nolan North is a very big voice actor.
But to be fair, I think it's more the lines that he's given, or the kind of the role he's been given.
Mm-hmm. There's like I said, there's a lot to be said for voice direction. There's a lot to be said for the script as well. Like
yeah, I don't think it's him that's like the reason why I think the Ghost is a poorly written character. I think the Ghost is just kind of not the best written.
Like I remember
in terms of dialogue.
I remember watching an interview with the voice actress who plays Vanille in Final Fantasy 13. You may remember as the sort of ginger-y girl who acts like an alien. And she was saying
I think that character alone might be the reason why I hate Final Fantasy 13.
Oh yeah, fair. And she was saying like how all of those sounds that she makes, because she makes loads of odd noises as like she just does like grunts and sort of like anime orgasm noises, right? And she was saying a lot of those noises that she was doing is on behalf of the sound director and the voice director saying,
you know what? I believe that.
Yeah,
I actually believe that. You know, when in like anime when they just make random sounds because they're just trying to punctuate the silence.
Yeah, it's that. Like it's legitimately that. Only the voice director was like, no, do it more orgasmic, and like she's essentially just doing her job at that point. And the voice director's like, no, you need to sound more like you're having an orgasm. Sound more like. Well, it's not necessarily always the voice actor's fault if a bad job has been done voice acting. I actually would say probably more than likely it's not the voice actor's fault. It's probably the script or the voice director's fault, because I would guarantee most of these voice actors are talented enough to be voice actors. I would say
it was definitely Peter Dinklage's fault though. I'm just saying.
Well, but also like it's a different skill set as well. I remember seeing it might have been Troy Baker,
and that's why I get so annoyed with the whole the whole situation because again I say this is because you don't you can't really put a face to a lot of voice actors where you can a lot of people who act in movies, and that's where I think the difference in pay comes from.
I mean, that's definitely where the difference in pay comes from. I'm saying, I think Troy Baker. I think it was Troy Baker who said actually it's a different in skill set. Like
I don't know. I just want voice actors to be more appreciated for the craft that they do.
I agree.
But at the same time, I don't want them to lie in emails in order to try and get that result.
Tweets, public tweets.
Oh.
No, yeah, I get you. No, I get you. It's because people are saying, and to be fair, I don't think any of these people are voice actors that are saying these things, but there are people saying, well done, Miss Taylor, you have set back the conversation on paying voice actors a fair wage due to this. And I think there's some realistic. I think realistically, she probably has set that conversation back a little bit due to this whole kerfuffle, because a lot of people are now seeing it as like, well, no, she was lying, so screw every voice actor. And there are a lot of people even defending, like, because they defend corporations, right? There are a lot of people going, actually, no, voice actors aren't worth this much money. I'll do it myself or whatever, or whatever. There are people like voice actors aren't worth the. There are people saying that. I think that's fucking wrong and revolting, but there are people saying that.
Ah, yes, the brain dead ticks among our population. We love to see it.
You do love to see it.
But I imagine voice acting is very hard because acting, when you can visualize the performance you give, to me sounds a lot easier than just trying to guess what a character that you can't see would sound like.
It's weird because I've watched a lot of the behind the scenes stuff in like some anime and some video games and stuff as well, like when they're dubbing it over in English. Obviously you can see what the character looks like because the fully game is finished at that point. You also know what the Japanese version of that character sounds like, which is even weirder in a way, because I think there's some pressure for you to sound like the Japanese version of that character in like anime and Japanese video games. Which is what happened with Vanille, I think, is that they were like, well, this is how the Japanese character sounds, so you need to sound like that.
Well, she's also not fucking Japanese.
No, she's not, no. Yeah, it's a I don't know, voice acting's weird. I'd love to see more about voice acting. I'd love to talk to a proper voice actor. I'd love to talk to a little voice actor about voice acting. Come on the show. I'll just open invitations every week for random people to come on the show. If you're a voice actor, I'd love to talk.
Let's cut the middleman out. If you want to come on the show, just come on. Whoever you are.
Yeah, send me a DM on Twitter. My Twitter's in
just
the
message
thing.
Adam.
Let's be brutally honest though. You coming on this show is probably not going to give you that much exposure. If anything, we're the ones benefiting.
Yeah, we're benefiting from it. Absolutely, we're benefiting from it. But it's not to give you exposure. It's just to have a nice chat with three fun people.
Yeah, but please do it anyway because we think you're cool.
I'll just get in touch with someone and ask them to come on. Yeah.
Do you think that sounded grovelly enough? Because that's what I want to do.
You're right. No. What you need to do is you need to get down on all fours, like paint a dog face on your face, and just like woof while you do it.
Oh, I ain't that fast. Listen, if you want to come on, you can. I'm not gonna fucking force you to. You know what I mean?
True. I'm yeah. Come on. I'm happy.
Unless you're Hideo Kojima, then you have to come on. You have no choice.
Hideo Kojima has to come with me.
Contractually.
He has to come with me and work as an Amazon delivery man for a day.
Has to come with me to Tesco to do my weekly shop. And I just want to see him explore the space.
He should do that. That'd be such a good stunt for him.
Or come to Tesco. Or be an Amazon delivery driver.
Being an Amazon delivery driver for a day. Except he dresses like how Norman Reedus does in Death Stranding. That'd be such a great stunt.
Well, I mean, that was my idea.
And then he has like weird little hologram talks with Jeff Bezos.
And Conan O'Brien. Isn't he in there? Fucking Guillermo del Toro can be in there for a bit. Yeah. I'd love to get Guillermo del Toro to give Hideo Kojima a full-on mission in real life.
I wanna go Argos with Hideo Kojima.
What do you think he would like about Argos in particular?
Gardening furniture. I think he's going to be big into. I think the screens would be very exciting for him.
Do you know what?
I think he would buy at least 3 chairs, and maybe like a yoga mat.
Do you know what I'm really pissed about? The fact that if we take Hideo Kojima to Argos, we didn't take him in the 90s when they had little pens. I think he would have loved those little pens.
I didn't go to Argos for like 4, 5, 6, 7 years or something. And when I went there, I went there like a year ago for the first time in like 6, 7 years or something. And like the fact they didn't have the books and pens anymore, like was distressing to me.
For one,
I have no clue.
Well, for one, we've entered the digital age.
Yeah, but they're iconic.
Two, people probably kept fucking nicking them.
But the little pens are iconic.
But not everything has to be digital, you know? You don't go into the fucking museum and you see a plinth from ancient Egypt, but actually it's just a fucking NFT. No, you see the plinth, you know? You go to Argos, you want the book and the little pen and...
Yeah, but the difference is Argos isn't a museum, it's a shop.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be, man. You can just live for the moment, man. Not everything has to be digital, you know what I mean? Why can't we just leave things in good states instead of trying to fucking innovate? Exactly. I want my pen and paper back.
I want the pen and paper.
I want my obtuse waste of paper. Just a huge waste of paper and pencils and pens, which, as Louis said, 1000% were getting nicked non-stop. I want them back.
Absolutely were. There's no doubt in my mind.
The most amount of technology I want in Argos is those weird little blue boxes they had where you'd put in the number to see if it was in stock or not.
Yeah, they were good.
With like the soft, spongy buttons. Yeah, that's what I want.
I want those as well. I miss how shit the 90s were.
Let's be honest, yeah. Argos is a fucking dumb shop to begin with. Why would you go into a shop and then just look through a thing and then you go up and then they go, it's in the back or whatever? It's just a stupid shopping experience to begin with. Let's just make it more obtuse.
No. So do you know what I said? It's like, so basically, this is just a guessing game between you and me to see what you have in that back room over there. So how about instead we tear that wall down? You bring everything that you have in that back room in front of us, and we call this thing a shop.
It is funny. I wonder if there's an American equivalent to Argos, because like Argos is such a weird concept for a shop in that they don't have anything.
I imagine they do. But I imagine they don't have physical locations.
I mean, maybe.
I imagine it's basically Amazon.
I mean, yeah, that's essentially what Argos is, though, right? It's just you go into Argos and just go, I want this.
It's Amazon, except they don't have a network of online sellers.
Yeah, they
just do it all themselves.
It's a physical Amazon store.
My favorite. I don't know if the Argos near either of you two. Could you ever see the items coming down the slide?
Yeah.
This is the sort of stuff I miss now, man. This Argos, like the one I went into was like. See, the one I went into was redecorated, and so you couldn't see. It was just like endless shelves behind the counter, and they'd walk down and find whatever, and they assumed they were coming through the back or whatever. But there was like the old, before it got redecorated, you had the little slide, and you'd see your items come down. And
it's even more tragic now in Blackburn. You just see the employee walk into the back room, and then they come out with then they just come back out with what you ordered.
Oh,
it's dead. Awful. It's like going to a Sports Direct and asking the person if they have it in your size. It's dead, bro. I want old Argos back.
I want old Argos. I miss Argos as it was, even though it was stupid, even though it was shit. I just kind of like, fucking hell, we're old, aren't we?
It still doesn't make any sense. I had a job interview a couple of months ago for like the anti-Argos, like the exact opposite of Argos. So it's a shop where it sells stuff kind of similar to like Argos would. Not everything, so it doesn't sell like games or whatever, but it sells like toys and
bits and pieces,
cooking stuff and chairs and beds and all that sort of stuff, right? But everything is on the shop floor.
How does it fit?
Like everything is on the shop floor, but they called it, I can't remember what they called it. I think they called it they had a name for it. Instead of the shop floor, it was called like the event space or something like that. I can't remember what it was called. Right? But you'd go in and also the items were all there and you could use them. And then if you wanted to buy one, a shopping assistant, you would scan it with like your phone, and then you would buy it like you usually would, or a shopping assistant would come across and scan it with their iPad. And then you just leave and it turns up at your house in a couple of days or whatever. So it was like the exact opposite of Argos.
That is the least convenient. Oh my god.
And then they had like, for like, the one thing I will say that was good convenience wise to some extent, but also wasn't a true representation of the product, is like for the kitchen area, for example, where you could go through the kitchen products, they had a professional chef who would just cook food all day. And so if you were like, what does this pan do or whatever, you could just talk to the chef and they would make something with the pan.
What?
And you would see it's insane. It's insane. It's somewhere in London. I can't remember where it is. I think it's in, I want to say it's in Westfield, the one in West London maybe, but yeah, it was crazy. And I had an interview there to run their video department. To be the manager of like, because they have two people on staff who just make TikToks with the products all day.
Oh, sure.
And like they do like other, like they have I don't even know how to describe it. They do like events there where they'll get like famous people in and they wanted to live stream them and all this other sort of stuff. And so I had a meeting. So I didn't get a job, someone else did. Fair play. But like the whole idea of the shop to me was just completely
it sounds
unhinged.
absurd. Yeah, it sounds bizarre. I mean, I understand why they're doing like the social media stuff. I mean, it sounds like a perfect fit, but it's mad. That just sounds like a mad idea for a shop. Surely people
like I
nick
said, it was
stuff.
it was the exact. What are you going to do? Nick a bed?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
People have nicked small.
My stance as a shop owner would be, if you could get the bed out of the shop without being caught, you can have the bed. But like, but yeah, it was just the whole thing was just very odd. Like,
It does sound, yeah.
I would have loved the job because Jesus Christ, I would have been able to.
Oh, it sounds like fun, yeah.
Do you remember those those overnight challenges in overnight challenges in like Walmart challenges where they make a box fort and play Fortnite on one of the TVs and stuff? Do you remember that YouTube trend?
No.
No. Good.
No, I don't remember these things. It sounds.
Yeah, there's a whole
annoying.
YouTube trend of people attempting to stop overnight in like, you know, establishments like Walmart, and I'm like, bro, like, every time I watch those, man, I feel so bad for the people that work there.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna have to stand
one.
there by night as well. They're gonna have to like sit there and watch these fucking idiots make a fort out of, and then clean up after them afterwards, right?
No. So they usually just get kicked out if discovered.
Oh, really? Are they? So they're not supposed to be in there. I assumed that they were like they'd come to a.
They're not supposed to be in there.
I see.
That's part of the challenge.
I assumed that it was like a Mr. Beast type thing where Mr. Beast would walk into a Walmart and go, "Hey, I'll give you like 10 grand. Let me sleep here for a night."
I'd be down for that because they're probably paid to do that.
Yeah, it just sounds like a pain in the ass for the employees, but like if they're just sneaking into fucking Asda and like trying to do stupid shit.
Let's be honest. If he was Mr. Beast, he would compensate them for that.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. That's what I was thinking.
That's his whole thing. Yeah. Like, he wants to like do like goofy stuff, but he also is like very generous and will just like compensate people for their trouble.
I mean, I think most of all he just knows that people can't be asked with his shit if he's just doing like stupid shit like that, right? So they're kind of like, they'll be asked with this shit and they'll be more amenable to him if he just gives them a bit of money. Like, legitimately, like, if someone came up to you and they were like, and you were the manager of an Asda, and like, I want to film a video in your Asda, but I'm not going to pay you.
Like, I did a bit of research into his charity donations as well.
Oh my god, what have you done? You've been doing some journalism, Louis.
And even the stuff that he doesn't and there's a lot of stuff that he actually doesn't publicize.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh dear. This is a tax write-off purposes.
Maybe, but he spends a crazy amount of money on charities.
To be fair, and I saw a video, and this is about the it's about the tax thing. It is sort of a tax write-off in that he sort of says that he spends everything he earns, more or less. Like either he donates it or he spends it on like videos, right? So all of his income goes immediately to outgoings, unless he has to live off it, I guess, right? So he'll live a small.
I feel like he's the kind of millionaire people.
He died.
Right, sorry, you died a bit there.
I said, I think he's actually the kind of the millionaire that people actually want, and in a lot of cases, it's still not enough.
I mean, true
for people.
I think people find, and Charlie will probably be able to clarify more. I think people just find the idea of millionaires a bit problematic in general. Just the idea that you're a millionaire.
It's the idea that you can accrue that much money while other people struggle to live.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like we don't like you because you're a millionaire. It's a we don't like millionaires mentality, right?
Yeah, especially and billionaires is the big one.
I mean, billionaires is billionaires is a thing now. Is a problem.
I think people being. I feel like we have a lot of billionaires.
How many billionaires are there?
Probably more than you think. Probably there's more now than there was.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, but there's definitely more than there were. I mean, it went up during the pandemic massively. I know that much. It just,
because everyone was profiting off that sort of shit, right? People were profiting. Like the billionaires were profiting immensely for some reason.
Just money. You accrue money, and money goes for money's sake.
Money.
I don't know how money works. I'll be honest with you. Money is just a thing.
It goes up.
That's
all that really matters.
Sometimes it goes down.
Sometimes it's just one of those things.
Depends what country you live in.
Depends.
Depends how.
Thankfully, it seems like one of them is about to lose a lot of it, so that's fine.
Wait, which one? Because I know Kanye West has lost a fuckload of money.
Well, yeah, although he wasn't a billionaire, but
no, he was. He was a billionaire. He's not now. That's how much he's lost.
I think it was his estimated worth. It was in the hundreds of millions, but I don't think it was in the billions yet.
I think it was. I saw
the story. But also,
recently.
it's difficult. It's really difficult to tell because,
it's all
especially with low-level billionaires, you get caught in the trap of like assets versus tangible stuff versus lots of other things. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Jeff Bezos who just has 100 billion in a bank.
I think Kanye's net worth was in the billions, and now it's less than that because of being kicked off.
I was thinking more Elon Musk, who's bought a money hole, who's thought to himself, yes, I'll do this. This is a good idea. Good luck with that, mate.
Despite not going through with it the first time, and for what I can't remember what reason he didn't go through with it the first time.
He tried to back out because he said that they were lying to him in certain instances about how many bots there were and stuff like that.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
And then Twitter threatened to sue him.
He was like, oh shit.
And then he got to the stage where he had to basically do it. So he's been forced to buy.
Oh, really? That's what it is. He's been forced to buy Twitter because otherwise they'll sue him.
Essentially, yes.
Essentially, stupidest fucking.
So he's been forced to buy a money hole for significantly more than it's worth.
Yeah.
And good luck. It's like buying a football club. It's like it's a bad idea. You're just not going to make money on it.
Sure.
Good luck. If you're buying it for anything other, if you're buying it for money purposes, you have failed your.
He isn't though. He wasn't buying it for money purposes anyway. Although I guess now it's saving him money because he's not going to just get sued for fucking billions.
I feel like
I was talking about football clubs, but yes, I mean Twitter's just a money hole as well. That will never make money.
No.
I honestly feel like people buy football clubs just purely out of boredom.
I think they do though.
I genuinely think that's the only reason people buy football clubs, because they're not a good investment.
Why did Ryan Reynolds buy Wrexham?
That's a long, complicated thing. It's interesting though. There's an interesting podcast on TIFA. I'd recommend anyone if who's interested in it go and listen to. Who they interviewed Humphrey Kerr, who's works with Thingy, and Ryan Reynolds bought it. Ryan Reynolds only got involved late on. It was more Rob McElhenney. But the documentary is also really good, and I'd suggest it mainly because it's better than most sports documentaries.
I think it's not
fucking shit.
I think it's not available in the UK. Oh yeah, it's on Disney Plus. That's why. Yeah,
it's on Disney Plus in the UK.
Yeah.
But I mean, they make sense though because they bought a small club. It's the big clubs that don't make sense to me. When you spend 1 point whatever billion it was on Chelsea, I can't remember how much that ended up going for. She was probably more than that. It was probably a couple of billion. I can't remember. It was either like 1.5 or like 3 point something billion or whatever they bought Chelsea for. It's like you are never ever ever going to make money off that club ever. Big clubs just cost way too much money to run.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it in the slightest.
No.
Football and like similarly, Twitter. He bought Twitter.
44 billion.
He literally paid a joke amount for it. Yeah. Like the amount he paid was based on a joke, was on a meme, and it was way more than it was worth. And then that's why they forced him to buy it in the first place, because he was offering like way more than it was worth. And now he's bought something that will never ever make money, because there's just not a way to monetize Twitter like that.
Typically, Elon Musk, I from what I remember, typically all of his financial decisions are like, this is a joke that I've taken too far. Oops.
Well, when you have that much money, I guess you can, right? But like,
wasn't that why he got in trouble for like manipulating stock by accident because he didn't really care? He said he'd sell whatever.
He's the dumbest smart person in the world.
Yeah.
Like, he's clearly an intelligent person, but there is nothing up there. Like, like there are people because I think it's like intelligence is a complex thing where people think you're either smart or you're dumb, but he is a great example of being clearly very intelligent, but a fucking idiot. Like, just so dumb. Like, everything he does, just the movements he makes, you just think about it, you just think, how are you this dumb? But clearly he is an intelligent person. It's a golden example of that rule, you know?
I agree.
Just what a fucking idiot. But he owns Twitter now, so here's what it is. But
I've seen there's some mass exodus already.
I mean, there are some rich people who are very unintelligent who just got lucky with their business ventures. Like, for example, Jack Ma.
I don't know who this person is.
He owns Alibaba.
Is it bad that I don't know what that is?
It's one of the richest It's one of the richest companies in the world.
It's the shopping thing.
Sure.
I don't know if they do more than that. I'm shocked. I would have thought you would have known what. It's like a shopping website essentially.
Oh, like a. No, I have no idea.
It's long to explain, but it's e-commerce. It's fucking, you buy shit off it like Amazon, right? It's basically what it is. But it's one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah,
it's huge, massive.
Sure.
But yeah, I think he's just fucking. He's like Donald Trump. He's a fucking idiot who's fallen upwards. There's people like that in the world.
Donald Trump didn't even fall upwards. He just
at least has
already was already there.
Musk, well, he fell up. Yeah, sure, he fell upwards into presidency, but at least with Elon Musk, there is intelligence there. He's just also unbelievably stupid.
Yeah, like he's clearly good at something. Like he's clearly good at something. I don't know what exactly he is good at, but he's good at something clearly.
It's become that. I mean, I would say this about a lot of things, to be fair, but to become a billionaire, you have to have been lucky at some point in terms of like invested in the right thing at the right time, like, or created something at the right thing at the right time. There's no one who is. Like, you can't not be lucky, Like, Elon Musk like fucking invested in Tesla at the right time, invested in PayPal at the right time. It's not like, to become that rich.
The rich get richer because they have the time to understand stock markets and the money to invest wisely or not so wisely and or even, still be okay by doing it.
I don't even think it's a case of like understanding it, just paying someone who already understands it.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Lots of people who get famous on YouTube when they're very young start doing investing in stocks and property and all that shit. It doesn't necessarily because they know what they're doing. It's just because they have enough money to pay somebody who does know what they're doing to look after it.
A lot of young influencers get kind of scammed a lot of the time. Like, I've actually kind of like seen a lot of instances where like a lot of young influencers kind of effectively get scammed out of their money just because it kind of comes to them so suddenly and they don't know what they're doing with it and they end up getting scammed out of a lot of it.
Yeah,
like with these sponsorship deals where the sponsor's taking 90+% of the ad revenue when it shouldn't be more than like 25%.
Yeah, I mean, corporations really know how to latch on to people, especially in YouTube and stuff like that. Like, latch on to people who
it's because
don't
people
know
who
what they're
people
going
who
because they're
make
young.
YouTube videos, they're not investors. They're they're
People.
they're just content creators. They're not investors. They just make videos.
A lot of YouTubers are just kids or like young adults and who don't really know anything about the world. And I would say we exist in that realm as well, right? If someone was to offer me a contract right now for a sponsorship, I would have no fucking clue what I'm doing. And I would have to ask someone who knows contracts well to go over it with me, right? I would have to be like, and I'm fucking 30, right? So someone who's 20...
Then you're probably just going to get turned down because then it's like... Because then, well, it's fine if you don't agree to our terms because there are enough gullible people that will.
Maybe. I mean, you'd probably be able to... I don't know. There are probably things you can do, but yeah, you're probably right. But like I said, I'm 30 and I have a little bit more sense on my shoulders, right? People who are 20, people who are 18, people who are younger than that, because there are people who are younger than that doing it, you know, like... They're not going to have a fucking clue, right? They're just going to be like, I get money. That Raid Shadow Legends wants to sponsor me. That's fucking hilarious and epic. Let's do it.
They just see it as like they'll just see it as more money, as like on top of what they're getting for what they're doing on YouTube. Even like without understanding what the actual
I imagine
worth is of what they're doing.
I imagine you get sponsors through before you even start earning proper money. Because you get 1 million followers on YouTube or whatever, 1 million subscribers on YouTube. That doesn't necessarily mean, well, no. Let's say 100,000, right? Because if you have 100,000 people start sponsoring you, you have 100,000 subs on YouTube, you might not even be making that much money.
Yeah,
or any at all.
Yeah, but if you have 100,000 subs on YouTube, you're able to do YouTube as a job.
Are you?
Provided you monetize your videos.
It depends on what your content is.
I think it massively depends. I don't know if you are. I think there are people that definitely at that level that can't.
Again, depends on what videos you're making.
Sure.
Depends on their length. Depends on how popular they are. Like subs aren't a great metric.
Yeah.
Like Hammer's chat. There's 3 of us. 2 of us do it full time. The other one does it part time, and we have 20-something thousand subscribers. Like, it depends on the content. Depends on what you're making.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's obviously the finances of YouTube. I mean, and I'm definitely not in the position to give any input on that, seeing as I've done YouTube and not earned a penny. I don't know. I don't know enough, I guess. But I know, hearing from other people how difficult it is to earn a living off YouTube, or how like little they get. And then when they start getting a lot of money, that's when you don't really hear how much money they get, right? There are a lot of people on YouTube who are very shaky with the amount of money that they get. I would shaky is probably not the right word, but like don't like to state how much money they get on YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. Like the bigger ones particularly are like, I'm not going to tell you how much money I make.
It's also very, very flexible.
I imagine so, yeah.
It's even amongst just a single chain, it's not consistent at all. You know, everyone talks about how ad revenue goes up in December, especially, but like, I mean, that happens throughout the year, and your CPM changes and loads of other things change to make how much someone earns on YouTube a really difficult question, because it's just so complicated. And like, what's interesting and tantalizing is the big top numbers, but actually the bottom numbers can change massively. But like I say, we have, like on Hammer's chat, we're about to hit 28,000 subscribers. Just on that one channel alone, you would be able to comfortably live off the money that channel earns. Not comfortably, but you'd be able to live off the money in that.
You'd be able to, yeah. And I guess it difference in where we live and stuff like that. Although America's also complicated. So like, you live in London and we live in the north, which means that the income would be the same, but the outgoings for you would be much, much more than it would be for us. We'd be able to have a house, not necessarily buy a house, but we'd be able to rent a house on our own very comfortably and eat well off that. Whereas you would probably struggle a bit more. And I think if you're in America, rents are much higher. The money in general, you seem to pay a lot more for stuff in general in America for some reason. Depending on the state, I guess, as well.
Yeah,
it
I mean,
becomes
again,
more
I would,
difficult.
I'm in a position where I wouldn't say the numbers that are involved in this
Sure.
specific
Yeah,
instance
yeah,
because they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
mine to
yeah,
say.
yeah.
If it was mine to say, I would just fucking say I got no problems with it, right?
Yeah, of
But
course, yeah.
I would be able, anyone could live off the amount of that money,
Sure, fair enough.
and that's not including merch. That's not including we have a
Yeah.
Patreon, like specifically just ad revenue from YouTube.
Okay, fair enough.
But again, like it really depends. Like if
you
you're
make
making
longer video, I guess you make quite long videos sometimes, right?
a video, it depends.
Mm.
That's what I mean. We'll have one day where we have like the watch alongs.
Because the watch alongs are
but
super
the rest
long.
are long.
50
But every other video is like 8 to 12 minutes long.
8 to
But if you're making short videos, if you're basically say you make
So you're a
videos
TikTok creator.
and we make a video every single day.
Mhm.
So we make videos every day, and you get to the mid-roll point, which is 8 minutes most of the time, because we don't shut up basically. But if you're making shorter videos and you don't do it every other day, for example, it's really massively changing. Like someone could have 3 times the amount of subscribers and make a third of the amount of money. But it really depends on what you're doing. And also, like, subscribers is just a bad metric in general because it's like
Sure.
that doesn't denote how many views you get as well.
Yeah.
Like it
Because
just
views
changes
are
massively.
more important than subscribers, and I guess in general, right? Like, it's like in
Well, yeah,
it's like with
in the
Twitch,
hierarchy of things,
subscribers
it's
more
watch time,
important than
then it's views, then subscribers don't count for anything really.
It's like with Twitch, subscribers are more important than followers. If you've got like 200 million followers, doesn't actually necessarily mean you get any income from that because no one might be
Yeah,
watching.
it just means someone's more likely to watch your video if they follow or subscribe or whatever, but it's not really.
Exactly.
It's massively fluctuating. And how many times you upload, how long are your videos, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
What are your video? What does your video contain?
Yeah.
What's your video about?
Copyright.
Like-
have you breached any copyright strike guidelines?
Yeah, it's
Do you have
it's
10 minutes,
massively-
10 seconds of music on there that you shouldn't have, and therefore you're blocked in 12 different regions? Oh,
Yeah, it's massively flexible with all of that sort of stuff.
It is.
But I think in terms of it's difficult because it is such a fluctuating transient type thing, and it is essentially freelance where you are sort of given the money and then have to figure out the taxes yourself. It's not like pay as you earn in the UK, for example, where you just are salaried, you get money into your account every month and then you move on with your life. There's a lot more to it. And so especially when you're young and you find success, it's really fucking difficult to figure that shit out, which is why you see a lot of YouTubers and influencers, or whatever the fuck you want to call people like that, who get big when they're early. Their parents look after their finances and end up doing it well into their adulthood because, frankly, their parents are probably in a better position to figure out how to fucking deal with money than they would be because they got popular when they were 15, 16, 17. And it's like, like, as someone who had, for example, when I was young and I was an accountant and I was 18 years old, bro, fucking hell, like, I could, like, don't get me wrong, I was relatively frugal with my money, but, like, even I was a bit mad with it. And, like, I was an accountant. That was my job. Now, I was relatively sensible and it helps me in the future, but, like, in general, you fucking lose yourself. And so you have to find someone who knows more about the money. And then that's why they all end up doing assets and fucking property and all this other sort of shit. Because, they've hired someone who knows how to deal with money, an accountant or a finance person. Which is a smart thing to do because Jesus Christ.
I mean,
if I could, as a freelancer, I would die to be pay as you earn, and if you could just essentially put me as a pay as you earn, that would be a beautiful thing for me. But what can you do?
Yeah, I would have no fucking clue. Like, if I was just suddenly a very popular influencer, I would be even at 30. I'd probably be a bit lost and confused and wanting to spend shit. I probably would buy a house.
I've probably been scammed out of my money by now.
I'd have probably spent it all on takeaway by now.
We always had this conversation. Like me and my best friend from when I was an accountant, we used to have because we were both into football, and so we had the conversation a lot when you saw like Carlos Tevez go to play in China and was being paid 500 grand a week.
Yes.
And we'd always have the conversation of like, what the fuck do you even do with 500
I have
grand
no
a
idea what
week?
you do with that much, yeah.
I mean, and there was a stat a couple of years ago, I don't know if it's still true, but that obviously American football, who get paid as much, if not more, I think, than footballers in the UK in American football.
Really? Wow.
50% of them go bankrupt 2 years after they retire. And it's that
That's
idea of
crazy.
like, how do you lose that much money? And obviously, like when you buy a big house, for example, the heating is more. But like, there's stuff like that. But then there's also just an insane amount of money, and it's wild to me the amount of stories of people who own that.
That's why Gary Lineker is basically owned by Walkers. Because let's be real, he's like they pretty much own him. Let's be honest.
It's the old adage, more money, more problems, right? Is that you've got more money and therefore you've spent it and you've got to, cover more bills and more.
Well, I think, for example, like someone like Robbie Fowler, he was a big footballer, he was a great footballer, but wasn't like fucking Ronaldo or Messi or whatever. And is still like incredibly rich decades after retiring because he spent almost all of his money on fucking buying property in places like Liverpool where he played football. And it's like, that's just smart because now you just have forever generating money essentially for the rest of you and your family's lifetimes, right? And it's that idea of how do you go from nothing to something? When you get to something, it's difficult not to just go fucking mad.
True. Although you're kind of right in the fifth, 500 grand a week or something. I just think how the fuck I do think how the fuck does that go anywhere? Like you bought, because I guess I'm still kind of humble, right? So I was thinking, like, even if I'm a millionaire, even if I win the lottery, even if I've got multi-millions, I don't think I would buy like a massive house. Like I'd buy a nice house, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't like buy a mansion or something.
Well, you have to. So Mr. Beast, using that as an example, right? Because I watched some interviews with him recently, and like he was talking about how recently he had to move, where he was still he was making huge amounts of money on YouTube, and he was living in a shithole essentially, but had to move for security reasons. And there is that sort of like, there is a lot of that kind of stuff, like security people, security systems, living in a bigger house because you live a more private life because you don't get people. It's like we've had this conversation on here before about the second you get famous, you can't just nip out to fucking Costa Coffee because you'll get absolutely hounded by people, no matter what level it is. It doesn't matter whether you're fucking Stormzy or whether you're, I don't know, someone who does videos on YouTube who has 100,000 subscribers.
That said,
a level of notoriety changes it, right?
That said, I did see a video the other day of Erling Haaland just strolling around Manchester Northern Quarter.
Oh, I did. I saw that person shouting at him from cars.
Like, so there's obviously some degree to it, but
but you change the way you do it. You go in the middle of the day when people aren't around. You go in the middle of the night when people aren't around. There was a video doing the rounds on football Twitter 2-3 days ago about the Wolves player Adama Traore in like a Tesco's car park or something, having a foot race with a bunch of kids who supported Wolves. And it's like that idea of like, you just change your habits. You can't do certain things, and certain you can do certain things, right?
You can.
And like, it's not like you can't do anything anymore, but it makes it a hell of a lot harder. For example, there was the talking about Stormzy, there was that Louis Theroux documentary he did. The Louis Theroux interviewed him for BBC documentary that he's doing, that came out this week. I think I watched it earlier on today. But he was talking about like, he can't just, it's like Louis Theroux was asking him about his dating life, and he's like, well, I can't exactly just go into a restaurant, can I? He's like, if I ever have to go into anywhere, I have to go through the back door where no one sees me, and then if people see me, then they're all going to start taking pictures, and even if I'm just sat there with a girl, then all of a sudden she's getting pictures taken of her, and they're putting it all out on social media, blah 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 blah. And it's that kind of stuff that just changes, it's costs of stuff like that change. You can't do certain things you used to be able to do.
True.
It's a fuckery. But again, when you're earning that much money, I still don't see exactly how you lose that much money. It makes no sense to me to go bankrupt. But
like there's a certain point where you're like, okay, I'm losing money, but it's not like I'm not, because I don't think I'm spending that much, right? I'm losing money because I'm gonna have to spend it on X whatever. But there's no point where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna spend 200 billion on a yacht or whatever, right? I don't know. Yeah, it is interesting though, because I was watching. I was just checking how many subscribers he has. I was watching a Beard Meets Food video. I know Louis knows who he is.
I know the name.
Yeah, he's just a guy who eats food on YouTube.
And has a beard.
And he has a beard. Fucking shocking, right?
Nice.
He has
Respect it.
he has 2.29 million subscribers on his channel. He goes around doing food challenges basically. And there was a video of him. The last video he made put up was about him and his fiance, and they were just going around and eating food at random restaurants and random like places, around like going to McDonald's and stuff like that. He's got 2.2 million subscribers, and even then, like he's not like stopped in the street and stuff, but he is stopped. Like you see it multiple times in the video of people just like, yo, you're that guy, can I take a picture? You're that guy, can I take a picture? Or whatever, right? Or
Someone recognized me near where I live recently.
You're a local celebrity though, Charlie. It's fine.
I'm not, because it's nothing to do with if it was a team who lived near me, then sure, to some extent. Like I know, like I live, like the closest team to me is probably Arsenal, right? And I see people from Arsenal fan TV around relatively often. The fact that someone's seeing me and it's some of a West Ham thing and recognizing me on the street makes me massively uncomfortable. But like,
what did you do? How did you?
We have 28,000 subscribers. 28,000, that's it, and it's still here. Like at West Ham, it's a different prospect. I get West Ham people recognize me, but like,
there's this guy with 2 million subscribers walking around his hometown, going to McDonald's and getting like bugged in.
Someone recognized you for a something. What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, what was
How
your
did you
reaction?
Hey man,
what did they ask? What did they do? Did they come up to you and go, "Hey, you're Charlie from Hammersmith"?
Yeah, he said, "Are you?" He said, "Are you?" And I said, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you." It was really fucking awkward because I was coming back from shops, so I had like all my hands were like, I had hands full of just fucking shopping bags and a backpack with like heavy bottles in it, and I'm just like, when I'm out in that mode, my mode is like, I just need to get home just to survive this walk, because Jesus Christ, my hands are killing me. And also like I end up going at like stupidly late at night because I always leave it until the last possible second until the shops are about to shut. So I'm like walking along the streets trying to survive, and I was standing at a traffic light, and I noticed the person out of the corner of my eye, because I was just looking left and right at the traffic lights to see if cars were coming, even though it was red to see can I get across, but there were cars. But I saw someone walking along with a West Ham shirt, and I clocked it and I went, "Oh, West Ham shirt." And then he just came up to me and said, "Hey, are you Charlie from Hammerstone?" I was like, "Yeah, nice to meet you." Well, no, I was like, "Hey, yeah, nice to meet you." I was like, "Nice to meet you. What's your name?" We spoke about West Ham for a bit, and then when the lights went green, we walked different directions. But like, obviously for me, that made me massively fucking uncomfortable, because Jesus Christ, I don't like being. I'm a private person. I don't like that shit. But but that's at like such a low level. Like like it's a very localized level.
It is.
So like if I lived somewhere in East London, it would probably happen more. And like when we go to games, like it happens like fairly frequently, because obviously you have 60,000 West Ham fans descending on a specific location, and you are going to that specific location, so there will be an amount of them that are subscribers, so we'll know what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So obviously it's going to happen more often in that scenario. But if at 28,000, not even anywhere near that very specific place, it can happen. I've seen it. I've been to West Ham matches with people who don't make West Ham videos but have millions of subscribers on YouTube.
Sure, yeah.
And like, between like literally in the 5-minute walk to the stadium, got stopped 10 times.
Jesus,
12 times, like just non-stop. And it was, everyone knew who they were. It was just those were the people who were confident enough to come up and stop them. Like outside of that, and it was crazy. I was just you couldn't do anything. And that was like, they have a couple of million subscribers or whatever, and it was nothing to do with West Ham. That's just because you're just notoriety at that point, right?
You know, I was watching Trash Taste and Connor Sea-Dog VA on there. Like, so there's a couple of things relating to this sort of thing. So they did a live show, I think MCM Comic Con in London.
Sure.
And someone just came on stage. Like, they're at the level where they just have people just invading the stage at a Comic Con, and there's like apparently there's just no security at these things. So people just came up, sat down. He could have done anything. Like, luckily, he just sort of sat down next to one of them and was like chatting. But like, that's fucking terrifying just in itself. Like, you're supposed to be in a safe space, a safe area, and like some dude just walks on the stage. And you're like, fucking hell. But there's another one where like Connor he was at an anime convention, and like obviously they do like anime stuff. Like I would imagine they're pretty big in the anime space, like the three of them. And he was just sort of like walking around, and he had people with him, but there were so many people who were just like shouting, like, "Oh, it's Connor! Oh my god, it's Sea Dog here, whatever! Like, can we get a picture? Can you do this?" And he's like, "I'm only here today to like get like certain things, like go shopping, get certain things, and then do like certain bits behind the scenes or whatever." And it, like he had to. Honestly, it's respectable like how he treated people and how he interacted with people, because he's like trying to move on and trying to balance being a nice person, a good public persona, talking to people, talking to fans, and doing what makes the fans happy, while also like moving and doing things that he needs to do. And I can't even imagine like what like you were saying, like go to a West Ham game, get stopped every 10 minutes, like get stopped 10 times before you even get to the front door or whatever, right?
It's fucking annoying. I was just trying to get places.
I could only
Especially when you move like I do, where everything's last second. And so we're trying to get there quickly because we are inevitably like 5 minutes away from kickoff. And you have to get through security and then also through the fucking turnstiles and then get to your seat. And it's like, oh, hey, you're get a picture. Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's a fucking fame is a fuckery. And I always feel bad for people who can become famous online, and especially when they're young, because I think there is you just have to accept it. Like there is like when you get fame through acting or whatever, you already have an agent looking out for you. You already have like people looking out for you. When you get famous and you're young and you're online through Twitch or YouTube or whatever, there's no one looking out for you. You just got to fucking deal with it. Like you've just got to, like whatever the consequences are, you just have to go. And I feel really sorry for people like that, because it's just so fucking. It must be so difficult.
This interview I saw with Tommy in it, I think it might have been a fucking Jake Paul thing or Logan Paul, whichever one they are that does the podcasts.
Logan,
I don't know which one's which. They're the same person to me.
Low gang for life, bro.
Sure. He was talking to Tommy in it.
Low gang.
And Tommy in it was like, oh, do you have a girlfriend? I was like, no. He was like, do you go to school? And he's like, yeah, I still go to school. And like, you imagine going to school as like one of the biggest Twitch streamers, YouTubers in the world at that point, right? You're just like, that's insane. Like I remember going to school and being like fucking nothing.
I remember when he first blew up, which was during lockdown, and I think he was on Jackmate's podcast, and he said something like before lockdown he had like a couple of thousand subscribers on YouTube, and then by the time lockdown happened and he went back to college because he was still in sixth form at the time, he had like hundreds of thousands. And it's like just during lockdown, like, and how weird that must be, the difference in like.
I can't imagine what he goes through, like as a kid. Just
I imagine in school it's almost easier.
He did say it was alright. He did say it was alright.
I reckon it's because I reckon in school it's almost like I think in school it might be easier to deal with than if you were
like out and about,
like older, like an adult, and you had a job or something. I think it would be much more fucking difficult.
You're in the fucking different. You're a bartender, and everyone's just stopping you with fucking Weatherspoons,
right?
Like, oh,
it must be so fucking
from. Oh god, yeah.
Whereas in school, maybe other people from other schools would be like, "Oh, Tommy in it is in the school around the corner or whatever."
Yeah,
but
maybe.
like, I reckon people in your own school know who you are, and just like, you still just hang out with your friends and whatever, and it's not that much different.
True.
Like, it'll be weird, obviously, but I don't think it would be. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm just making assumptions. But yeah, because I imagine as an adult, it's fucking weird.
Well, there's a guy who does Subway videos on TikTok or whatever, right? And he gets lots of people.
Yeah.
He gets loads of people just coming in at a Subway, right? And he's like, "Okay,
is that Milad?
Yeah, Milad. He's got a great name, Milad. Yeah, he says like he gets loads of people coming in all the time because they want to find his Subway because he does all the TikToks and shit, right? And they want to be like, oh, can I have a free cookie? And imagine how many people come in and go, can I have a free cookie every day for this dude?
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Like, that's the thing, right? I can't. It must be nightmarish. I bet he says he loves it. He seems to love it. I mean, I guess you have to say you love it, right? Because you have to, right?
It's not a great thing to say you don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
you can be famous
there
for
is
being
the
a bit of a dick.
There's the perpetual push and take of a parasocial relationship where it's like there is a fear of speaking out against the audience.
Yeah. Like, you can be famous for being, like, there are people who are famous for being dickheads in public, right? There are people who are famous for being like, nah, fuck off, I don't want to talk to you. And like, I feel like they've gone all the way in that direction, that, like, if they have, like, one nice encounter with a fan, then it becomes, like, all of that crumbles away, because it's clearly just an act. They're clearly not, like, just a full-on dickhead. They're just being that way so that they don't have to deal with people in public. Like, it's I think Jennifer Lawrence says, like, she is just a dickhead to every fan that speaks to her, because she just doesn't want to deal with people in public, which is fair play, which is respectable. But
and it's that thing of, like, if you're not a dickhead to some people, but you are a dickhead to, it's like, and everyone and people, and to some extent, when you're super famous, people just make up that you're a dickhead anyway. So you might as well be.
Yeah.
But, like, it's there are only a couple of people who are known for not being dickheads, and that's like the guy from Ghostbusters, who I can't remember his name. What's his fucking name? What is his name? Main guy in Ghostbusters, Cats and Dogs Getting Together, Complete Anarchy. What the fuck is his name?
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. He's known for just being really fucking, like, polite and nice in public, and just doing random, because he's known for doing random shit. Keanu Reeves, similar thing. Someone who's known for being incredibly nice in public. There are people who are known for it and don't have that, or that person's a dickhead story. But I think at some point every celebrity will become James Corden for a bit. And just get and it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. That story will spread.
It doesn't matter how nice you are to people. If you like, if there's just that one day where you're tired and you just can't put up with it, and you might have had a bad interaction with that one person, then all of a sudden
you're the dickhead, And
I hate that. I fucking hate that, because I feel like I'm very empathetic about, like, celebrities just trying to go about their daily life.
Yeah, same.
Like, I like, obviously I don't care about how fucking rich they are. I mean, they're fucking rich. It's not like I care about that. It's more the fact that I feel like they should still be allowed to lead normal lives.
I agree.
I mean, I never, if I see a famous person, I never ever talk to them.
No, I like, worst case scenario is I nod at them, or I like a smile and nod at them.
I did once, mainly because they shut my
your head
in
a
fridge door.
I mean,
what a moment in life that was.
But no, I feel awkward stopping someone, And
even then, I didn't even make it seem like I knew him. I just tweeted it. I just tweeted it at him afterwards.
I would feel awkward stopping someone, even if it was someone I, like, really, really looked up to. I'd feel so awkward being like, "Hey, are you that guy?" Cause...
That's the most popular tweet I've ever had.
Nice.
He's asking whether Tom Scott shut my head. Asking if he was the guy that shut my head in the fridge door. Because do you remember what his response was?
No.
Your height don't get in the way of my sandwich, or something like that.
So don't get in the way of me and my lunch ever again.
That was it.
Like, such a fucking great response.
It is a great response. Yeah, I feel like just sort of like a knowing smile and a nod, isn't it? Like, "You're right, mate. How you doing?" Walk off. I don't know.
Like, living, like, because obviously North London especially is very weird, where you will have incredibly poor sections next to incredibly rich sections, and so, like, I've seen quite a lot of famous people just out and about. Minty tried to run me over his car from EastEnders. Not really Minty. That famous, but
what a
side
dickhead.
Note. It was 1000% my fault. I wasn't concentrating, but at the same time, listen, come on, Minty. Also, his car, very underwhelming. But anyway, the point is like, I'll be going to, like, a mate's house or whatever who lives categorically in a shithole, but it's, like, next to a very posh area, so you see someone. But I just always make an outward movement to not do anything. I think for me, it's just a case of, like, they're just going about their day, and I think it's because I have that fear inside of me that, like. Well, like, the thing that happened a couple of weeks ago when someone recognized me, right? That fear of, like, I am, like, such a deeply private person.
Yeah.
And the idea of someone recognizing me fills me with fucking dread. That, like, if I see I don't know. I never saw this person, but this is the only example that just came into my head when my girlfriend saw Tim Minchin on the bus.
Oh,
Like
shit.
in my head, like I would be like, my man's just getting the bus somewhere. Like I don't want to stress them out. Like just get on. Like they're just on the bus to go wherever they're going. Like I don't need to fucking, like there's been certain other instances where like
Khalees on the train.
I have to interact. Khalees on the train, right? That's one where I wouldn't have said anything, but because I was with someone else who wanted to, then we did, right? But I wouldn't have said anything. But that situation again is a little bit different. But like, I just find it like I just wouldn't say anything to anyone. I think most of the time,
I feel
like when I'm at work, it's a little bit different. If they're there for work purposes, then obviously you say something. But that's even then. I try to treat them like I would treat anyone else.
Well, that's the point, right? So doing interviews with people who are like, I guess, celebrities in a way. I would hate to talk to a person and be like, oh, I love that. I loved your album. It was amazing. I loved your fucking, like film or whatever. Or like, be sort of like weird towards them. You just treat them like people because that's what they want, right? If you're interviewing someone, which, I've done, they just want you to speak to them as a real person. They don't want you to fanboy over them. They don't want you to feel uncomfortable. They don't want you to feel like you're bothering them or whatever it is. Like that, I think that's a different situation to real life, like meeting someone in real life. But I feel like that's just what people want, is for you to treat them like a normal human being and not for you to treat them like a celebrity or a pseudo celebrity or whatever, right? So if I was
I would do the same thing with like I used to have to have a conversation with my manager about this, about the way I would talk to the director of finance at work when I was an accountant.
Okay.
Because I would talk to him like I would talk to anyone else.
Yeah.
And I would take the mic and I would be the same as I am with him as I was with anyone else. And then being like, Charlie,
and that was a problem.
Well, they were like, Charlie, you're the only person who would A, do that, and B, get away with it. And I'm like, because I feel like people just want to treat you like anyone else. Like, I don't think people need preferential treatment. Like, people would like pussyfoot around him because he's the director of finance. And I'm like, he's just a nice, normal person.
He's
like,
just a dude,
bit too into rugby, but we can deal with that. I can take the mick out of him for that. That's fine. Like, you treat people like they're human beings. I think if you treat them any differently, like I remember once when I was before pandemic, when I was doing a lot of parties and stuff. When I was working for that party company, I was doing a lot of like gaming parties, and one of the ones we did was at Watford's stadium, and it was for like the Watford Young Supporters Club, and Watford, who had let them use the stadium, surprised them with like the Watford first team just came to take pictures and say hello with all the kids and stuff.
That's cool.
And like I found myself in a situation where I'm surrounded by fucking Premier League footballers.
Yeah.
A lot of whom, like one of whom, like so Nathaniel Chalobah, who I don't know who he plays for now, but when he was like coming through the ranks at Chelsea, I used to buy him every year on FIFA because he was fucking sick.
Yeah.
And like I was in a situation where I was talking to Nathaniel Chalobah, and inside my brain I'm going, fuck, I've bought you every year on FIFA for like 5 years. Fuck, it's Nathaniel Chalobah. But out loud, I'm just talking to him like a normal human being. Because I think that's probably what they want, as opposed to being,
Do you know what the worst thing about that sort of situation is when it's personal in a way? Because it is kind of personal to you because you've bought him every year on FIFA, right? So like, he doesn't know who the fuck you are, but you were like, this guy has had an impact on my life in a way. And I saw the Zealand video for Football Manager stuff where he went to Florida.
I love how much you've got. I love how much you've got into Football Manager. It's so good. I was watching a Zealand video, and I'm like, go on, watch a Zealand video.
He's a very interesting human. He's a magnetic human being. Is Zealand? He went to Floridsdorfer FC in fucking wherever that is, and he was talking to the players because he went to do like a player thing, right? And I guess this is different because it's for a video, but he sat there like, yeah, I sold you. You were shit. But this guy was amazing for my team, and all the players are like, "Oh, he's shit in real life, though, isn't he?"
Yeah.
I can only imagine if you stood next to like a guy who you're like, "I bought you every year on FIFA." How weird would that conversation be? I know it's different because you're not doing a video there, and you're not specifically there because of this and that. But I would always feel tempted to be like, "Yo, I bought you every year on FIFA, and you were fucking great, fucking legend." Or something like that.
Because I feel like if there was, you could make a joke out of it, but it's just like, if you're not quick enough to come up with a joke at that moment, I think the best option is just to fucking leave it.
True.
And just to be like, hey, yeah, like his controller broke, and I was like, yeah, let me fix the controller for you, blah blah blah, do this, do that. Like, just treat him like a person.
Yeah.
Like having a conversation with, I had a conversation with, who was it? The centre back Adrian Mariappa about like games and like what games to get his kids and stuff like that. You know, you just have a conversation with them like they're a normal human being.
Sure.
As opposed to being like, when you played for Reading against West Ham, you fucking dickhead. Do you want to go? I'll start with you. Like, you know, you just leave it.
I can't imagine being that. There are people like that though, right? I can't imagine being that angry about.
There was a Brazilian football player who was murdered for scoring an own goal.
Jesus.
Yeah, people. I mean, it's not like you don't tend to get as many instances here, but in certain like Italy, bruv, it's like they've just had like instances recently where like a training ground was just invaded by like a bunch of fans who were pissed off that the team wasn't doing well enough.
Jesus Christ!
And it's like, no. But again, that's even worse because you're invading.
Yeah.
You're invading a space as opposed to just seeing them in the street or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it is fucking weird. Like, especially online where like people have specific thoughts about you, whether they're true or not. It's just the fact of the matter. And like the parasocial thing exists on a good side or on a bad side or whatever, and they're overly familiar with you regardless of whether it's in a good way or a bad way. They're still overly familiar with you, and it becomes incredibly odd. And like, you know, it's just all very fucking weird, isn't it? It's just all very weird. I don't know. That's why my stance is always just leave them be. Or if you have to talk to them like a normal
human being. Absolutely. I think that's the best stance to take on the matter. Absolutely.
It's just light working out.
It is.
Having said that, if I saw Hideo Kojima, I don't know, there'd be the same difference. You know what I mean?
Well, we already know what you're gonna do if you encounter.
I'd be like, Hideo, mate, we're going Argos.
We're going Argos.
Come on.
I've got some little pens in my back pocket specifically for you, specifically for this moment.
Have I got a shot for you, my friend? You are gonna shit yourself. I tell you what, there's gonna be some DLC about this coming forth. Let's go.
That's all we need. Oh, I feel like that's the end of it. I feel like we've had a nice, fun conversation, and we've.
I fucking hated it.
That's fair.
I've not hated it. That is a lie.
Thank you very much, everyone who was taking a listen. We will see you next time. If you did enjoy the podcast, you can give us a little like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is on your platform of choice, because I don't know all of the platforms that you can catch this on. Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.